Philly, Joe and Kirby podcast.
This is the Philly, Joe and Kirby podcast.
Buddy Holly, Weezer, 92.1 City, Winnipeg's rock station. I remember the video for that song was Happy Days based. Either of you remember that?
I do not.
Yeah, that was a great show growing up for me with the Fonz, Arthur Fonzarelli.
I love
Mrs. C, Potsy, Ralph Melf.
Fonz was one of my early heroes, the Fonz.
Yeah, he was so good with the ladies.
He's great with the ladies. He was tough. Like he didn't take a back step to anybody.
Everybody took a back step to him. If you notice, the guys and the ladies, they kept coming. And Curbs, you might remember there was probably a place in Drain Valley, Alberta, your hometown, that had what do you call it? Not a record player, but a jukebox. And, you used to have to put money in that jukebox. Not with Fonz. Fonz would just pop it on the side and the thing would kick in a Blueberry Hill. Mm-hmm. And then he'd start waltzing with a chick right there at Arnold's.
Waltzing.
That's what he called them back then, yeah.
That's how
Slow
cool
dance.
he was. And he only had the one outfit, Fonz, right? The white shirt with the leather coat over top.
You know what his office was? The bathroom. The men's room at Arnold's.
Is that why a lot of guys refer to the washroom as their office?
I guess.
I don't know if
I don't know if
started
it came from the show, but that's where he did all his meetings.
Be cool if Fonz started that saying. He probably did.
Guys would run out of there if he was going to have a meeting.
Yeah. And all his friends, if they ever, like if some other local tough or some guy from out of town who was tough showed up in their lives or at the restaurant or whatever, they went to the Fonz right away to help them. And the Fonz would always take care of the situation. He was a borderline superhero, the Fonz, man.
One of the first renters ever on TV, I think, too, because he used to rent the upstairs from the Cunninghams, park his bike there on their lot. It's good.
Didn't Richie Cunningham's sister have a crush on the Fonz?
Joni. Well, no, she ended up with Chachi. Okay. That was Fonzie's nephew, Chachi Arcola.
Wow, this show sounds interesting.
Big Al. Yeah, Big Al was in the show.
Al.
Didn't he own the restaurant?
Well, he took it over from Arnold. He bought it from Arnold.
Okay.
Arnold was Mr. Miyagi in...
oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Pat Morita.
Yeah.
I
my
learned
God.
so much from you
Curbs,
guys.
You get on whatever Pluto TV or whatever and catch yourself a couple episodes of Happy Days.
Yeah, I think you should.
On that.
Forget your crime dramas for a week.
I think you'd like it.
Happy Days it is for you.
Philly, Joe, Kirby.
Philly, Joe and Kirby
Podcast.
The Philly, Joe and Kirby podcast.
This guy, I'm like, none of us in this room are, experts when it comes to fixing someone's cable or technical issues with your cable box. But let's see if we can get this guy some advice.
Hey, guys, it's Brad here. I'm trying to watch the Winnipeg Jets game on TSN, but I keep getting this stupid attention thing up on the screen. Just wondering now what's with that, guys. Not too happy. I can only see like about half the screen, so not quite sure what's going on with TSN or Shaw or whoever's in charge of it, but I'm not overly impressed.
I don't know what
you
to
didn't
tell you.
catch the game. I watched the game last night, had no problems on my end, so I don't know if it was maybe just the television. It could have been a cable box he could be dealing with, could be his area.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to say nowadays with technology, but his best bet would do one of those chats. If he's available to do that through the app. Otherwise, that's a phone call, and God knows sometimes those phone calls can not make things better.
Chat can be confusing to some, but I agree with you, Joe. That might be the best way to go about it. Have a chat.
It's
with
quicker
with your cable provider and they'll sort it out for you.
Phil, you just recently helped your dad with his cable issue.
That's the kind of call I get from my dad sometimes. Like, something's coming up on the screen,
and he's not overly impressed.
He's never very happy about it. I get to go over there and help him. Okay, Milkweed with a kudos for PJK.
Hey, crew, it's Milkweed heading back on the Trash Canada Highway. I just wanted to say, listening to your station makes me a better driver. I signal way before I do anything, getting aggressive and merging. All good for a guy from a small town with only one traffic light. My beef is, when you're in the passing lane, why don't you push on that little wee pedal and make the vehicle go quicker to get by when you're passing? Instead of sitting there for 10 goddamn minutes at 1 mile an hour faster. Hey, Have a good one.
Okay, thank you very much.
I want to go back to the cable box incident. This came in on the Boston Pizza text line. Tell the Jets fan to reboot his cable box from the settings menu. You can do that with your remote. Or the usual, they tell you to unplug it from the wall for about 30 seconds and then plug it in and let the box reboot itself. So that might not be at least a bad first option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and do that in between periods if that's ever happening again. But it sounds like, do it today. And let us know how it works.
Or at least before the Edmonton game tomorrow. You've got a day and a half
to figure it out.
Kirby brought up a story yesterday about something at intersections and...
Oh, yeah, the lights that have now changed downtown where they've given pedestrians a 5-second heads up, or not a heads up, but head start. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
And you find it a little confusing. You're
as a driver that, kind of glances at the crosswalk symbol as an indicator on when to go. Every so often. I kind of find it confusing.
So that prompted Big N to call up about just intersection safety in general.
Years ago, quite a few years ago, we have 8 hours of bus driver training every year, and we usually got guest speakers in. And this one year, they had a fella from Winnipeg who I believe it was called Safety Services Canada he worked for, which is federal government, I think, as far as I know. And he was a driving instructor type fella. Very good speaker. And he lived in Winnipeg. And one of the things he said that always kind of stuck with me, he said when he's driving in Winnipeg, he treats every intersection as if there is someone coming from the opposite direction who's going to try and kill him. And he said that served him well over the years. And just what it means is when you get a green light, you just don't go barreling right into the intersection because there could be someone trying to beat a yellow coming from your right or your left. And you're going to get T-boned. I've always tried to, take a second to look before I hit the intersections, and that's even outside of Winnipeg. And just have a great week, everyone. Rock on, Big N out.
Good reminder.
I agree.
Absolutely.
That's a great message. Hey, the Wolfman, has he called the pro? We've had the Wolfman.
At least once before, for sure.
Well, he's back, baby.
Yeah, this is the rock and roll Wolfman here. That's right, baby, I'll tell you. Coming all the way from Rock and Rollville. This one's for Phil. It's a belated message, as in belated birthday to Phil. May you last another 50, buddy.
Thanks, Wolfman.
And nice. I'll tell you, if you guys listened to me before, I was on 92 City FM back in the late 70s, early 80s, on 92 City FM on midnights. Time to rock and roll. And this one goes out to Philly. Love you, buddy.
Oh.
Keep rocking and rolling on 92 City FM.
That's nice.
Hey, listen, the Wolfman taking time to call for your birthday, even later that, I guess it came in yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't really belated. It came in on time. You just played it today. But listen, he's from Rock and Rollville.
Yeah.
Don't mistake that. Neighboring town, Funky Town.
I was going to say, is this in the same vicinity
as
Funky Town?
Have you heard anybody ever tell you? I told you this last week. No one's ever said they had a bad time in Funky Town. I can guarantee you they've always had a good time in Rock and Rollville, too.
Hell yeah, Joe.
Get the T-shirt.
I hope to visit that place as well.
Yeah, you can.
Everybody's welcome in Funky Town.
And I'll tell you right now.
Rock and Rollville.
You're not dealing with the American dollar in Rock and Rollville, baby. Even par.
Let's wrap with Guilty here.
Philly, my fine feathered friend from Transcoma, happy birthday, buddy. 51, milestone, 4 years away from the buffet deal. You're going to love it, buddy. Double nickel coming next, and the big one. Let's get fit.
Do I get a deal on buffets when I turn 55?
I think you certainly will at Shoppers, and you love Shoppers, right?
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
I had to eat your dinner before you were getting any dessert. Them's the rules. 92.1 City, Winnipeg's rock station, Pink Floyd rock anthem with Philly Joe and Kirby at 6:50.
We have a neat kind of announcement coming up at 7:30 this morning. A little entertainment show coming up.
We do.
That'll be fun, yeah.
I saw that.
I have no idea.
The concert hall?
Oh, I see it now. Okay.
You got too many things on the go.
It was just your birthday. You're
Yeah.
probably still catching up on thanking everybody for the wishes on Facebook.
Yeah, being so popular, it was a lot yesterday.
I understand.
So this show.
That's why I take the whole month.
Yeah, and I'll just fill in the cracks. I'll know what's going on with the show coming up.
Thank you guys, though. That was a fun day yesterday. I don't know what it is, but the older I get, the more I do enjoy my birthday. It's crazy.
You got less of them to look at, right? As you get older.
Maybe that's what it is. I think when you're younger, it's a huge deal, right? You're going out. You're going to the bar. You got that 18th, and then there's a bunch after that where it's a bigger deal. And then I find, I don't know maybe not you, Kirby, but you go through a phase of a bunch of years where it's like, whatever. It's my birthday. I'm 38 or I'm 36 or 42. And it doesn't really matter that much. But now here, I want to say, the last 5 years, 6 years, it's a fun day.
This is why, sorry, Joe, this is why I encourage people to treat their birthdays like, we wait until 50 or 60 or, these milestones, right? Well, every birthday should be treated like a milestone. That's why you guys give me a hard time, but like 36 this year for me.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, we give you a hard time because you give yourself 30 days for your birthday, but maybe there's something to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't do 30 days.
I don't know. No, I don't need 30 days. I think it makes it special that it's one day.
Yeah.
And of course, with Kirby, this all goes back to that one birthday where I think we had like 4 dinners to go to for it, or like 3 or 4 parties. That was
it's winded down since.
Yeah, it has. I'll give you that. Yeah, that was it was a crazy
I stopped
time.
inviting you, basically.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
still
stopped
30
inviting
days.
you to the events.
We're not invited
We get
anymore.
to go to one, like for most people.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
I want to play this call. It came in from the Bone Phone, and it's our good buddy Hooligan, and he brings up a topic that I'm interested to get your guys' take on, and obviously PJK Nation's opinion on, and it pertains to coming to work sick, I suppose, but just being out in public when you're obviously fighting a cold or something of that nature.
I'd like to thank all the people who go to work sick and get other people sick who weren't sick, but they got sick from their asshole co-workers who came to work sick. Thank you. Thank you very much. I haven't been this sick in I don't know how long. I've used 4 of my sick days already. Thank you. Thank you all. If you're not feeling well, you stay home. So you don't get other people sick. Missed a week of work, missed overtime, lost money. You only get 5 sick days a year, and I use 4 already. Thank you.
He's upset.
He is, yeah. And I mean, look.
Well, when is he not, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole gist of the Hooligan, right? He's fired up. He's going to let you know. Usually it's on the Bone Phone, but I thought it's a pretty interesting topic. We encounter people who have obvious colds frequently. I don't look at it like as what are you doing? I mean, there's a line there. As long as you don't look like you're on your deathbed with the flu, I'm okay. We got to keep going. You can't just with a cold, you can't shut down. Some of them last for 3 weeks.
When the world changed, it was shut down. You couldn't go to work.
Yeah,
they told you to stay home for a week at a time, and a lot of people took advantage of that too at the time. And now these illnesses, unfortunately, last longer. Anybody with a cold, it's not a 2-day turnaround anymore.
Oh my gosh,
most of us are going to work.
Yeah, I find it's just, you're right, Joe. It's impossible. With you and I had a cold for 6 months last year. What the hell?
Started with you and I followed Trek for 6 months.
It's like, what are we gonna do now? If you got a fever, and you're green and you're running.
Remember, I tried coming in that one time with my chest infection.
Infection.
And then you guys were like, "Nope, go home."
Yeah, you sounded terrible.
That was rough, though.
And you know what? You had no energy. For somebody who has energy all the time, that was like you were at the lowest of lows physically. So you have to go home in those cases. But a lot of people don't have sick days. That's coming in on the Boston Pizza text line.
Yeah.
And
what about people who have kids? I mean, with childcare and stuff too, like kids get sick and that affects, the whole situation at home. Like,
I just think it's a fine line. Like when you were coming in that week, Kirby, it was obvious you shouldn't be here. You could barely get yourself. You were moaning and groaning. Like, it honestly kind of looked like you should go to urgent care.
Okay, but let me tell you what the thought process was.
We called an ambulance one morning.
No, you did not
We
call
almost
an ambulance.
did.
Okay.
We thought you were going to fall on the floor.
I work with a man who has never taken a sick day in his life. So
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I just feel like sometimes there is a little pressure to still try to gather yourself
and good on you.
And come into work.
Yeah.
But yes, in the case of me being that sick, I shouldn't have come in, obviously, because then I'm putting you guys at risk too.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. But sometimes it's hard to gauge. How sick am I? Do you ever do that mental battle?
I thought it was good, and then
should I be staying home? I usually gauge it on a fever. If I got a fever, that's a mess. Like, I just need to be on the couch.
Yeah, fevers are.
I don't think I'm ever bothered by somebody coming in with a cold nowadays because it seems to happen daily.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to come in with a sniffly nose or a sneeze or whatever, right? And sometimes it's in the voice. Like, that's been going around lately. I don't know, but people I know have been dealing with like a form of almost like laryngitis.
Yeah.
Like not much coughing or anything. But that one time with Kirby, I was like, whoa, Curbs, you got to go home like before you get us sick, because it was more than just a cold. Like, because you usually have good energy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I called in Dustin Hoffman from the movie. What was that movie? Outbreak. I started wearing the hazmat suit. And you were so sick.
It's amazing you had one in your front closet.
You were prepared for my sickness.
I keep one handy. I thought you had Ebola virus.
Well, it's like somebody said it was called Kirby 24. Do you remember
that?
Yes,
I called it Kirby 24. You're right.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Be a good person.
Rate or review this show wherever you subscribe and get PJK into more ears.
We will start with you, Kirby. By the way, play along if you'd like on the text line, 762-555. Would you rather, Kirby, only eat foods that look disgusting or smell disgusting? Only eat foods that look disgusting or smell disgusting.
I'm going to say look, because there is already a few foods that you guys have even commented on that I've eaten that aren't the most appetizing looking.
Mm-hmm. A lot of what you eat, yeah.
Yeah, and so I would go with that because it's harder, I find, to eat something when the smell is throwing you off.
Oh, absolutely. 100% agree with you. The smell of a food will turn me off before looking at it. I can close my eyes and eat. I can't close off the nose.
Joe brings a blindfold just in case the food doesn't look good.
Some
with him
scene out of Fear Factor.
Moving on. Would you rather be a professional bird watcher or a professional equestrian horseback rider? Bird watcher with the binoculars, Curbs, or compete in equestrian?
You know, I'm going to save my hips, and I'm going to go with bird watching.
Mm-hmm. You got to be in good shape to horseback ride professionally, I would think.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's just not my scene, you know? I love horses. I don't want to ride one. I like to just admire them from afar.
And I don't know, Joe, I'll let you answer, but I'm not sure I can visualize you, at the equestrian at the Olympics.
I'm going to tell you, if I was riding in my car for 3 hours, I would complain about how sore my back was. Now you're asking me to jump on a horse. I will say this. It's pretty graceful looking. If I'm watching a Western or something, or like a show like Yellowstone, I've always admired people that can ride a horse. Not only get on and off the horse, but to ride the horse. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing, no. And I actually, as I'm getting a little older, I find myself looking out the window every once in a while at, my neighbors have bird feeders. And I go, oh, wow, I've never seen a bird like that before. So I guess it's something I don't mind doing.
Bird watcher.
I could see Joe getting into bird watching.
Yeah, me
No,
too.
not as a hobby.
Older. No.
It's usually when I'm at the water cooler grabbing some water, okay?
Would you rather your new partner's in-laws, so you're meeting them for the first time, they're the Skywalkers from like Star Wars? Mm-hmm. So you Luke, and of course Darth Vader was a Skywalker before he went bad, or the Cullens from the Twilight movies. So essentially vampires, right? The Cullens.
They were very pale.
Yeah,
I just remember them being very pale.
You should set them up at Organic 10. that family.
That would be step one for Kirby.
Here's some gift cards for organic tan.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
My friend.
You might want a bit of a spray tan. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go with the Cullens because I could help them get a little color without getting out in the sun and killing themselves. Because, of course, I think at Twilight they just sparkle, though. Like, I don't think they die in the sun, but they sparkle.
I will say this, Kirby. Your time frame would never work with the Cullens. Those people would be coming out later at night. You'd already be in bed for about 3 hours. You'd never be able to meet up with them.
They're calling you for a spray tan. You're on Do Not Disturb at 7:30.
I'll be honest, though. It'd probably be easier to deal with them. I think the Cullens, because if you look at the Skywalkers, it'd be like, oh, hey, could I take your cape? Hey, how about your mask? And then you already offended them.
Well, there's a lot of baggage because Darth Vader and
would you like to put your lightsaber at the door? Like, what do you do with this thing? Like, it'd be more intense. I think the Cullens would be a little bit more fun.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Would you rather give a PowerPoint presentation to your coworkers about your athlete's foot or your problems with constipation? So all your coworkers have gathered.
No.
You're doing a presentation about your athlete's foot, like pictures, everything, or the constipation.
Hey, grab a donut and a coffee before you sit down. We're talking about constipation. Sorry, Kirby.
In particular, your constipation.
Yes.
Your own experiences with it.
Yes.
These are the following foods.
That's it.
Not to avoid.
I can't. I would take the athlete's foot.
Absolutely.
At least that is the least embarrassing in that scenario.
I'd get everybody a sample of Tough Actin' Tenactin. You know that. Everybody gets their own little can. Set it up. I think it'd be an easier PowerPoint to do than constipation.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
780 City, 780 2484. Tickets on the line right now for BTO. Joe has the question.
Kind of an interesting one today. The question they asked these people was, what can you do in under a minute? 15% of those people that took the survey said this was the number one thing they could do in under a minute.
15%?
Yeah.
Said they can do this in under a minute. 780 City, good morning.
I'll guess for Philly.
15% said they can do this in under a minute. A Rubik's Cube.
No, that's a good answer. One thing I've never been able to accomplish.
I think that would be a high number. Like, that seems to be very impressive, you know?
There's kids at my son's school, multiple, who can blast it.
It's unbelievable. And do it over again.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do it once.
Yeah, it seems to be just one of those things that some people's minds get and others don't. Mm-hmm. Someone would know more about that than me. Someone with expertise on the subject. But yeah, it's crazy. Good morning, City.
Good morning. Can I have a lifeline, please?
Yeah, Philly or Kirby?
Kirby.
It's a tough one today. I'm going to say shower. They can shower in under a minute.
No. 15% of people said they can do this in under a minute. Nope, neither one of those are on the top 5.
Okay. For BTO tickets this morning, hi there. Go ahead with your guess.
Drinking water?
Nope, no water drinking.
Thank you for playing. 780 City, hi.
Hey, roll a joint.
Not in the top 5.
Oh, and that guy or girl loves talking about that and demonstrating how good they are at it. Yeah, they're good to have around, I got to say.
Almost as popular as the person playing the music at the party, depending on the era.
Hi, City.
Hey, morning. Cooking one side of a pizza pop? Come on.
That is the most creative answer we've had in a long time on completely useless question. It's just a badge of honor, though, unfortunately. Sorry, my friend. Great answer.
780 City, 780 2484. Hi, City.
Morning. Philly, can you help me out, please?
By the way, that pizza pop, the other side is the tricky side. Like, how long do you keep it in before the seams pop open and half the stuffing pops out onto your microwave?
I like how it explodes.
You like that?
I do.
Kind of messy.
It burns the hell out of your mouth.
Oh, yeah. No one's ever just not put that thing in their mouth before it's cooled off.
If you haven't burnt your mouth on a pizza pop, are you even living?
Yes.
15% can do this in under a minute. Oh, man, this is hard today. Make the bed. I got no idea.
Number 2.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aubrey.
Okay, all right.
Oh, Mr. Mensa here. A year smarter.
Well,
a year
It
older.
was number 2, not 1.
Well,
so.
no, but he just said before that, this is a tough one. And make the bed, like a nonchalant answer. Boom.
Good
Number
morning,
2.
City.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I'm going to guess fall asleep.
How about fall asleep in under a minute? Are you any good? 15% of people said they can fall asleep in under a minute. Trim their toenails was on this list.
Ew.
At work. Always do it at work. Time management.
Make a pot of coffee and tossing a load of laundry were the top 5 answers.
Interesting.
Nice. By the way, you can Google Rubik's Cube and how to do it, Joe.
Really? That'd be cheating, though, eh?
No, they all do it, but it's still hard.
Oh,
Even when you watch them do it, it's tough.
Yeah. I know. I just learned how to tie a tie at my age, okay? Now Rubik's Cube.
Would you slow down, Aiello?
I know, it's too much learning.
What's your name?
This is Mike.
There you go, Mike.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Going back to the topic of sick days, and the hooligan started this in a call we ran last hour. Look, and it's not uncommon for somebody to get a cold and then go, oh, who gave this to me? Because it immediately dampens your mood. You're pissed off. Because typically you got to function. You got to keep going with a cold, and now you're just like, you ever do that? You try to trace your steps, like, who gave this to me?
Yeah.
Who have I seen in the last week that was sick?
And according to who? Like, what are you taking samples and figuring out who had still been infected with whatever and gave it to you?
It's ridiculous, but I think we all do it.
You only assume when you have that person that sounds like or looks like they have the cold, that's who you put the heat on, right? Mm-hmm. That's a guarantee. Mm-hmm. Like if one of us in the room was sick, if I was the sick one and one of you guys got sick after, you're certainly blaming me.
Yeah.
That's just the way it would go because you're in the same room and it's like, who else can you blame? But it could have been somebody else. You're right, Curbs.
But sometimes it's just brutally obvious, like that cold, the 6-month cold that I had last year, and then you got the 6-month cold.
You apologized. It was
profusely. I apologized.
Week 1, he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But we didn't think it would last half a year.
I'm just glad I avoided that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But, so we've got a wide range of opinions because Hooligan was basically saying, listen, if you're sick, stay home. And I would say the vast majority of the response we're getting is you can't stay home with a cold. Like I don't have enough sick days.
Some don't have sick days. I was surprised at how many people weighed in that don't have at all.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you can take it, stay home. If you can't, obviously you can't. What are you going to do?
I just think the vast majority of people with a cold are going to continue to function.
Right.
We got the one comment that unless I've got a fever and I'm like stretched out on the couch, I'm going to continue to go to work and do other things.
Would it be safe to say that the majority of people that said they would go to work is if they physically can get their ass out of bed, they would go to work no matter what they were dealing with? That's the impression I kind of got overall. And if they couldn't move, well, they're not going, obviously. They'd have to be in their deathbed, as they say.
Know your limits is what you should do.
No, what do you mean, know your limits?
Like,
what the hell does that mean?
That sounds like a drinking PSA.
I think it is.
Yeah,
but
well, you should get off the NyQuil.
No, it's know your limits of what you're able to do and assess the situation.
Assess the situation. Now I think that's if your house is on fire.
What
the hell?
Listen, if you
your
have
slogans
a cold
mixed up.
and your throat sore, know your limits.
And assess the situation. And stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
For more Philly Joe and Kirby, log it into 92.1 City weekday mornings 6 to 10.